What is up, everybody? Welcome to the live start sit with the Fatboyz for the Week 10 NFL contest. Got some football going on over in Germany right now with Bryce Young taking it to the New York Football Giants. Who'd have thought this resurgence of Bryce Young was coming, Brant? But last week he had a good game, got his first ever chance to set up in the victory formation in the NFL. And here we go this week in week 2. He looks pretty darn good again this week, Brant.
Yeah, Bryce Young looks pretty good. Since he got the starting job back, just took a little kick in the rear, I guess. Starting to look like a NFL starting quarterback. I don't want to say he's starting to look like the 101 pick yet,
Correct.
but definitely starting to get the Carolina Panthers rolling. And it also helps when you got a guy like Chuba Hubbard who may not let Brooks surpass him here as fast as a lot of people, me included, thought. 8 rushes for 81 yards already in this game against what you and me have said is a pretty stout front line for the Giants. They've been struggling against him today.
Yeah, as a guy who thought Brooks fell to him in the draft, how are you feeling about Chuba and the fact that he just got a contract extension and everything else? What does that make you feel like? I mean,
it makes you feel like Miles Sanders is gone for good. After this year, Brooks is going to be a guy that it's going to see how he goes into this offseason. This year, I don't think he's coming off taxi. I originally thought maybe I'd get a chance or two to maybe put him down in one of my flex spots with our deep starting lineups that we have. I think we start 11 people, 11 or 12, a little more than most leagues. I thought I'd get to sneak him into my flex, but I don't think that's going to happen with the way that Chuba's been playing. I think this is going to have to be wait and see what happens in the offseason.
Okay. All right, Brent, we got our first question rolling in here. We'll go ahead and jump over to this. Maybe we'll revisit that conversation here in a minute. Facebook user says, with Dak probably done for the season, should I drop Ferguson for someone like Hunter Henry?
I think I'm keeping Ferguson. You got Cooper Rush out there. We saw he's very capable of being able to throw the ball and win a couple of games for Dallas. I think I'm going to go ahead and keep Ferguson rolling as my starting tight end.
Yeah, I agree. I think first of all, when you talk about a guy like Cooper Rush coming in, they're going to look for that safety blanket. And yes, this team does have CeeDee Lamb, who's going to be the first overall safety blanket, naturally. But I think Ferguson stands to get more targets probably with Cooper Rush than that of what he did with Dak Prescott potentially, because Dak is known to push the ball down the field a little bit, try to make some gutsy throws. I think with Cooper Rush, he's going to be safe. He's going to try to not cost Dallas football games, whereas Dak, we've seen him in the past, he'll throw those interceptions. He doesn't care. So you do follow the question up with Pitts, Ferguson, or Henry. I still think probably Ferguson for me. If Drake London would have been ruled out today, I would have said for Pitts full gone conclusion. But I think for me, this is a Ferguson game, Brant.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take Ferguson. Last time Atlanta played New Orleans, Pitts failed to score at all. So I think I go with Ferguson. I don't want to take that risk.
Okay.
Facebook user, risks Tyreek screwing me on Monday or play Eckerd, White, Irving, Etienne, or Sutton? Man, I would think that maybe look on waivers, see if there's anything out there that could get you Monday, and put them down on the bottom of your bench. But I think I'm gonna roll Tyreek out.
Yeah, I think it's probably Tyreek for me too. I mean, if he's playing, I want him in my lineup. That's tough because you just never know what's going on. And I do want to say too, Brant, we apparently have some issues going on with the Facebook connecting, because the first question was Tony, the second one was also Tony, and then Amy was the third one. So apparently we've got some issues here with the Facebook link. So we'll see if that resolves itself as we get going on this morning. So, but yeah, I think specifically with Tyreek, I think this is interesting because he was kind of healthy all week. And then it was like, Friday night, it was like, hey, by the way, Tyreek's banged up. And it was like, what gives with that? If Tyreek doesn't play, Brant, what's Jalen Waddle's value look like this week to you?
He should move into that number one role, and I would assume he gets back on track the way that we know he should be. I assume he gets peppered with targets, so I would assume that. The other one is one of the waiver guys for Monday, even though you say nothing on waivers for Monday, so maybe not. I was going to say Eskridge from Seattle. He's a speedy guy that could end up with some timing routes with him, but yeah, I guess. So I think I still roll Tyreek. I'm reading this thing that just came out 23 minutes ago. So give me just a second. Let's see what they say about it.
Amy, I'd be curious to know if it's at all possible for you to get Odell Beckham Jr. just on the off chance Tyreek doesn't play. I know that's not a sexy name at this point. So if OBJ is out there, that could be a really nice pivot play for you. Although he's projected like 5 points right now in most leagues, if Tyreek goes out, that could go up with Tua under center. So, okay, again, I apologize. The Facebook's not working correctly. This question is from Adam. Adam says Cook or Dobbins in half-point PPR.
I think I go with Cook. Cook's been the focal point of that team there in the backfield, so I'm going to go with James Cook there.
Okay, yeah, I tend to agree as well. It's Dobbins is just – I'm waiting for the injury, Brand. I feel like the injury's got to come at some point, and it just doesn't happen.
Tennessee's actually pretty decent against the run, are they not?
They're not. I don't think they're terrible against it, but Tennessee's just Tennessee. It's still James Cook for me, just because James Cook is, I think, a top 10 must start back in this season. If that was not the case, then it may push me towards Dobbins. But Cook's too valuable catching passes out of the backfield, too valuable with his touches in general. So I do go Cook.
Yeah, Tennessee is middle of the road. Jennifer, good morning, Jennifer. MHJ, Eckler, or White? I know Robinson's been ruled out. Let's see. Arizona gets the Jets. I think I'm shying away from Eckler and a lot of Washington this week. I think I go with Rachaad White. I think the ball's going to be passed a lot. I think he's going to have some good PPR upside this week against the San Francisco 49ers. So I think I go with Rachaad White.
Yeah, I feel like this one's really cute. One of those really cute ones. Eckler without Brian Robinson, but it is against the Steelers defense. That's disgusting. I want no part of that. Rachaad White, very similar situation. Bucky Irving's still going to get plenty of touches against the San Francisco 49ers defense. I'm not really interested in that either. And Marvin Harrison's been awful. He's either been great or he's been awful. I'm going to roll Marvin Harrison out and hope that it's one of those great weeks. Just because I don't like the defenses that you're seeing in the other ones. I think Sauce Gardner has shown us he stepped back a little bit to earth this year. Teams aren't really as scared of Sauce as they've been in the past. So I think there's a chance Marvin Harrison could have just a fine game if necessary. All right, back to our non-working Facebook here. Ryan asks, need one quarterback, Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, or Russell Wilson? So let's start with that, Brant. Which of these three quarterbacks are you trotting out?
Let's see. Arizona has the Jets. We just talked about that. I'm shying away from Tampa, so I think I shy away from Baker. I think I go with Kyler Murray. I think the rushing upside's there. I think I go with Kyler Murray against the Jets.
Okay. So Kyler's been bad the last couple of weeks. He's either a top 10 fantasy quarterback or he's fallen off the face of the earth. So I'm going to go with the consistency this year. And oddly enough, that consistency has been Baker Mayfield. Cade Otton's been his best weapon by far, which is very tough sledding against the Niners defense. But I do think Cade still has a pretty decent week. Jalen McMillan, Trey Palmer, one of these guys is going to have to step up. But I like Baker Mayfield. He's also gutsy enough. He'll take off out of the pocket and run. So I like that one. As far as the flex in PPR, he says he's got Nico, but won't know until tonight if he plays. He also has D-Hop, Juwan Jennings, and Rachaad White in that one, Brant.
I think I'm going to roll Nico. They played Detroit. It sounds like he's trending to play. So I think I'm going to roll Nico. He gets, like I said, he gets Detroit. Detroit gives up so many yards through the air. So I think I'm going to roll out with Nico.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, right? Because Nico does play the Sunday night contest, and that gives you no pivot plays if Nico doesn't end up being a full go. But if Nico's on the field, it's Nico for me as well. I think I agree with Brant there. So, for what that's worth, I go Nico as well. D Hop's a close second for me, but we'll unanimously agree with Nico.
Patrick says, morning. Good morning, Patrick. Stats one behind Kirk. Tua, Herbert, or May. 4-point passing TDs. Tua seems like the right answer, but I'm going to go with Drake May. As well as Drake May has looked, I think I'm going to go with Drake May.
Yeah, for me, I think Tua is probably the answer. I think if I look at these guys, who's going to throw the most touchdowns and who's going to throw for the most yards, I think it's Tua. May's exciting because he's up and coming. He's just still got so many or lack of weapons that I think ends up hurting him long term. So I'm going to shy away from him for just a second.
Okay.
Right, I'm going to let you take the ones that you can see the names on here while I'm double dipping, finding out who's commenting on Facebook.
All right, Jennifer says, pick 2, Ridley, Warren, Spears, Coker. Coker's going right now, so hopefully not that one. Robinson, Tolbert, Parker, Washington, Freiermuth. Man, this is tough. I think I'm going to go with DeMarcus Robinson, even with both Kupp and Nuke on the field. Robinson has been seeing touchdowns and plenty of work, so I think I'm going to go with DeMarcus Robinson. Man, I want to say Tolbert, but let's go with Freiermuth. Let's go with Pat Freiermuth. That's just my second one here. I'm going to go with Freiermuth.
I'm shook you shied off of Ridley with how good Ridley's been the last 2 weeks. Ridley's a must start for me at this point after the D-Hop trade. So I'm going to go with Ridley and DeMarcus Robinson. I agree with Brant's analogy on the Rams passing game. DeMarcus Robinson's been that third target pretty comfortably for Matthew Stafford. So for me, I'm going to roll with Ridley and DeMarcus Robinson. Jake Powell asks Marvin Harrison Jr., Darnell Mooney, or Josh Downs for one spot in standard scoring, Brant. So which one of these guys do you think has the best chance to put up the most yards and touchdowns?
Mooney torched the Saints last time you guys played them. I'm going to go with Mooney. They just lost Lattimore. I love Mooney this week. Even with Drake London, I absolutely love Mooney as a start this week, and I will discuss that here in just a little bit as well.
Okay. All right. Here you go, Brant. This one's coming directly from a former coworker who's happily retired. Bino White says, hello, boys. Hello, Bino.
Good morning, Bino. Thanks for all the help last night, too, with that phone call. I needed that.
And then we have Tony Valentine who comes in and says, any worries about CMC today with the restrictions, or put him in and let's go? Listen, I'm going to say this right now. They just came across 20 touches for CMC. That man could have 200 yards total with 20 touches today. Start CMC, set it, forget it. Don't worry about CMC. He's in your lineup the rest of the year as long as he's playing.
Yep. Fire him up and let it go. You've made it this far without him. Let the man work.
Absolutely.
I hate saying that because I own him nowhere, but let him go. All right, Patrick, back to my question. I'll probably only play one week 12 on Kirk's bye. So Tua gets New England, Herbert gets Baltimore, and May gets Miami. Ooh. Those are all tough matchups. I think I go with Tua. I think hope by week 12 they get back on the timing track, and I go with Tua.
Okay.
Baltimore does allow a buttload of yards through the air still, don't they?
Well, and how is there any chance that
So Baltimore is the second worst in giving up fantasy points to a quarterback.
To be fair, they've also had to play Joe Burrow twice, who's torched them.
That's true. That is true.
Is there any chance of Kyle Hamilton being out still? I know he suffered a little injury and missed most of that game Thursday. I don't know. I haven't seen any reports on how serious that is at this point.
I'm going to switch this up right now while you were contemplating. I am going to go Herbert. Miami is one of the best defenses against quarterbacks. And then New England is right there in the middle of the road. So I'm going to go with Herbert.
Okay. All right.
Just as an early prep, I mean, obviously things may change as we get closer to week 12. But right now, if you're going to grab them and be prepared, I'd go with Herbert.
Okay. I think I go with, it's still probably Tua for me, but I don't hate the Herbert argument. Dan Roberts says, what are the Giants doing facing a terrible run D and passing the ball? This is why they are a poverty franchise. I agree with you, Dan, here. The problem is, though, you've got that new shiny toy in Malik Neighbors, and it feels like you have to pepper him with targets. But Tyrone Tracy's been such a beast lately. I don't understand why he's not touching the ball 30 times in a contest like this.
Yeah, I mean, the issue is you can pepper him with targets, but if you can't hit him, I mean, one of his targets went sailing over his head. And the other one was, he was pretty much covered in the middle of the field. I don't know what they're doing. I mean, they've ran – I'm looking at it right now. They've ran the ball 4 times. Yeah, they're not moving it. And Bryce Young is 7 of 9, just torching them through the air. I'm not sure what's going on with the Giants today. They forgot how to play football.
They don't know how to football.
Well, Miles Sanders is down on the field right now.
Darn. Too bad they didn't start Jonathan Brooks or dress him. So it says
for me, I benched Chuba in our league.
Oh, well, sorry to hear that. Pop says, should we start Brees Hall, and any word on London? London is going to play. London's going to go out there and play. Should be without restriction, it sounds like. As far as Brees Hall goes, I don't see how you don't start him. I know the Cardinals defense has been pretty decent sneakily against the running back, but I think I'm starting Brees.
Here's the other. I'm trying to get the other choices pulled up. One was Chuba. It's Najee versus Washington, it's Najee versus Washington is the other choice.
Yeah, I'm starting Brees over Najee.
All right, so I'm gonna add on to this a little bit. Do you go with Daniels versus Pittsburgh, or do you roll Bo Nix versus Kansas City? Kansas City's is the best against the run this year.
Yeah, I mean, how do you sit? Can you actually sit Jaden Daniels? I mean, I know it's the Pittsburgh defense, but can you actually sit Jaden Daniels? I own 0.0.0 shares of Jaden Daniels this year, and it's not because I didn't like him. I was never in a spot to draft him in any of my leagues. But if I owned him, I don't think he's a guy that I'm getting cute with and taking out of my lineup. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. The Fantasy Holics group chat just had a conversation about NFL MVP, and there was one vote for Jaden Daniels this year. So how are you sitting him?
I'm not. I was just curious what your thoughts were, because I did look at that going, it's one of those cringe things like, wait a minute. It makes you think for a second.
Hold up. Wait a minute. I don't think you do. I don't think you get cute with him. I think you just roll the dice, Brant. I think, yes, I know it's the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I know that it's probably going to be one of his worst games as an NFL pro. But what if it's not? What if it's not? How are you comfortable sitting that man on your bench?
You're not.
Yeah, I personally could not do it.
Well, Sanders looks like to be carted off the field before we get to Jennifer's question. So that will be something to keep an eye on. It looks like it's full bore Chuba Hubbard as you just rack up more points probably should have started you over Brees Hall.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, that's possible.
All right, Jennifer says, take Dell, Eckler, BTJ. She has Tyreek, but can't wait for him. Roll Tank and hope you get more info on Tyreek.
I like that. That's
what I would go with. Even with Nico back, I think Tyreek Tank will be just fine, man. BTJ, who's that matchup? That's Minnesota.
And it's Mac Jones as the quarterback. I'm out.
Oh, yeah, I'm out too. I forgot I did read that earlier this week. Give me Tank Dell and hope you hear some more on Tyreek before then.
Okay. Amy follows up with a question she had earlier about OBJ being available on waivers, but she does say I'd have to drop Irving, White, Etienne, Bigsby, or Charbonnet, but she does say she does not own Walker. So the question I have, Brant, is right off the rip, are you starting Charbonnet over either Etienne, Bigsby, White, or Irving?
Absolutely not. Not unless, unless Walker got hurt, no.
So I think this is one of those situations, Amy, where I'm going to sit here and say, if this week's a must-win week for you and you can't afford the 0 in the lineup, if Tyreek doesn't end up playing, I think you drop Charbonnet for OBJ. If this week you can afford a loss, I probably don't go chase OBJ because I don't think it's going to be that great. I think he'll get points tonight if you need those points in your lineup. I just don't know how great it's going to be.
And the other thing with it is Charbonnet doesn't play this week. He's on bye. So even if you can't drop people after they play, you can make this move like 30 seconds before kickoff and put White in if Tyreek doesn't go. And then Charbonnet has to clear waivers and everything else like everyone else. So you could wait until the very, very last minute to make this switch.
Exactly. All right, Gladys comes at us and says, start 2 and flex 1. Dobbins, Eckler, Swift, or Stevenson?
So I like Eckler over Dobbins, so I think I'm going to start Dobbins. I think I'm going to go Dobbins, Swift, and Stevenson. I think it's Eckler. Let's see. New England has Chicago. That's 5 yards a touch.
Mm-hmm. Glad you said it before because it was coming out of my mouth, but I don't have to.
I think I bench Eckler. Man, that PPR upside is so good for him against Pittsburgh, though. But I still think I have to set him down.
I agree. Yep, it's Sid Eckler. All right, Chris says, good morning, fellas. Good morning, Chris. He says at tight end, he's got Trey McBride or Taysom Hill. Was looking at the ceiling for Hill today. I will tell you this, Taysom Hill is a damn Falcon killer. If that guy plays the Atlanta Falcons, he's getting in the end zone. I don't know what it is, but it always seems to happen. So I'm going to stay unbiased here because he's going to score a touchdown for New Orleans today. It's going to happen. Brant, I'll let you answer this question because I hate Taysom Hill. So
I'm starting Trey McBride. I'm not going off of that. He may start slow, but it always seems to come back to Trey McBride. So I can't bitch him as much as I think Hill is a great play this week. He plays the Falcons. Everybody and their mom is missing on the New Orleans Saints, but I think I have to go with McBride still.
Okay. All right. And then it says flex. He's got DJ Moore, Raheem Mostert, or Demario Douglas. He said Moore makes him very nervous in the flex. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I think you still have to – let's see, that's, 38.5. And then Douglas that's probably 38. They're in the same game, you dummy. I'm calling myself a dummy, I promise. I think I still have to go with DJ Moore. DJ Moore is a guy that can catch the ball and take one to the house. Douglas is – I don't think this game gets out of hand. I honestly think New England might pull this one off. I think I go with DJ Moore.
Okay. Yeah. Where's DJ Moore in the pecking order right now? And for Caleb Williams, I mean, it felt like early in the season he was the number one, but now I feel like as we get down in the red zone, it's Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet, anybody but DJ Moore. And I don't own DJ anywhere, which is incredible with all the leagues I'm in that I don't own DJ anywhere, but I just do not. What's his season look like?
The only league I own him in is the league I'm tanking in. So
Yeah, he's had one season or 1 week as a top 10 wide receiver. The rest of it's been in the 20s or way behind that in the 30s or the 40s, 50s, 60s, and in even 1 week in the 70s, Brant. Currently wide receiver 29. Give me Demario Douglas. Give me Demario Douglas. He's the guy for Drake May. He's the best wide receiver in that offense at this point. Give me Demario Douglas. In a game where I think the Patriots are going to have to chase points. You and we both know who we're rooting for. Anybody who plays the Chicago Bears, just so we can bag on people at work. But yeah, give me Demario Douglas just because I think there's a chance that this is a game where the Patriots put up some points, Brant.
I really hope they win this week because we can't lose on a bye. So I can actually, as bad as this rebuild for Seattle's been, it's been up and down. It's been a fun year. I haven't had to do this for a while, so it's been a crazy year with Seattle.
Yeah, and hey, that's part of it, right? Seattle, I think Seattle's kind of been in a rebuild for a couple of years. You guys have just been kind of spoiled by the turnover not hurting, next man up mentality. I mean, as a rookie last year, Deshaun Witherspoon and that defense really carried you guys last year. This year, you guys are going through what the rest of the NFL goes through pretty routinely. You guys have just avoided it for a few years, and I think it's going to be a short deal for you guys. Obviously, the coaching staff's got some stuff to learn. You guys are only a few pieces away from being right back there, and you're still not a team I want to face week in or week out in the National Football League. So, I mean, you're one of the 3 losses for my Falcons this year, as you guys. So, definitely still a good team. All right, Amy comes at us and says Darnell Mooney, Tony Pollard, or Nico Collins in the flex.
I think I go with Mooney. I love the matchup. I love what Mooney's doing. I love what the Falcons are doing with that pass game. I go with Mooney.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is Darnell Mooney for me, Amy, simply because, listen, Nico Collins, is he on a snap count? Is he going to be the focal point of that offense? I don't know. I do know Drake London's going to be the man in Atlanta as long as he's healthy, but listen, Kirk Cousins loves him some Darnell Mooney, and as a Falcons fan, I do too. So I think he has a serviceable game this week, and it's good enough that it's better than Nico for me at this point, just because Nico's coming back off that injury. All right, we got Zach Myers coming at us. It says Kyle Pitts versus the Saints or TJ Hawkinson versus the Jags in full point PPR, Brant.
I think I'm going to go with Hawk. Pitts didn't do anything against the Saints, so I'm going to go with Hawk this week.
Give me Hawk.
There we go with Tracy starting to run the ball.
We all knew that was a matter of time. Listen, TJ Hawkinson, full week to prepare now. Back in, Minnesota healthy. I think this is the week you really start seeing him get some decent usage. Mark McConnell comes in and asks Tank Dell or Brian Thomas Jr. Brant, are you willing to start any Jags pass catchers with Mac Jones this week?
Evan Ingram, because we saw how much he loved his tight end up in New England. So Ingram is a definite start for me. But that's it. Give me Tank Dell.
Okay. Yeah, I think I do roll Tank Dell as well here this week. Tank Dell coming off his best week of the season. I know there's been some frustrations on the Tyreek deal, the Tank Dell deal, just because he's been so hit or miss after how great he was last season. But with no Diggs, Nico Collins coming back, I think they'll take it relatively easy on him. I look for a lot of Tank Dell this week, especially with that Detroit Lions defense. I feel like Tank Dell's the kind of guy that can get loose in this defense. So I do like Tank Dell over BTJ on this one. Just again, Mac Jones scares the hell out of me, Brant.
Absolutely. I'm going to talk about this game real quick. The Giants are starting to feed the ball. They fed it 3 straight times, and then they hit that new weapon, Malik Neighbors. You got a 3rd and 1 right now if you're not being able to watch. But yeah, they're starting to figure it out a little bit. It only took them a quarter and a little bit. So, never mind.
Daniel Jones. Okay, Brent, he started off the season with Malik Neighbors this year where it was like, okay, wait a minute. Maybe this guy is
Why?
Serviceable quarterback, and all of a sudden he's throwing completing 40% of passes against the Carolina Panthers. While on the other side of the ball, you've got Bryce Young, who everybody was ready to write off, who's completed 70% of passes. So we're sitting in a weird spot here at this point. So we do have another question in. Eric Indigo says, deep fantasy or deep dynasty PPR league, ugly roster question. Who do you drop? Xavier Hutchinson or Jonathan Mingo?
I'm dropping Hutchinson because even when Nico was out, Hutchinson wasn't able to do a whole lot. I mean, Nico was out. They got Robert Woods there who was okay. But yeah, he wasn't able to do a whole lot when even the number one was out. So I think I'm going to drop Hutchinson. And Mingo's in a new environment. We've seen that with some guys where they get that new environment and it turns around for them. So I think I'm going to hold on to Mingo a little bit longer.
Okay. All right. I don't hate it. I don't really care either way on this one. Mingo had like a 3-game stretch where he had one catch for 1 yard. And then Jerry Jones is like, you know what this team really needs is another wide receiver. Let me give up a 4th-round draft pick for him, without a starting quarterback. So don't like Mingo's ceiling the rest of the season, but I really don't care about Xavier Hutchinson either. So as far as that goes, Eric, I don't think you're going wrong with dropping either, but if I had to bet, I'm going to drop Hutchinson just because what if Mingo looks good next year? What if? That's my one saving grace, if you will. Ryan comes in and says, he needs one in PPR. He's got BTJ, David Montgomery, or Josh Downs, Brant.
PPR, I'm going with Downs here. Downs with Flacco.
Over David Montgomery?
I understand Montgomery's going to probably find the end zone like he always does, but it seems
find the end zone.
It seems to be a little more Gibbs lately, so I like Josh Downs this week. Let's see.
I would have said that prior to last week as well, but last weekend the rain was all David Montgomery. He had the majority of snap counts, 17 touches out of the backfield plus 3 receptions. Whereas the 2 weeks prior, his touches were kind of dipping a little bit. I think this is Montgomery, Brant, just because of opportunity. What did Downs do last week? Was it that good of a week?
No, it wasn't. It was actually a very down week for him.
I mean, he still had 12 points. Yeah, give me Downs, I guess. Downs has got a higher ceiling, probably equally a safe floor, higher ceiling. Monty would have to find the touch at the end zone to one up Downs here. So we'll go Downs just because if Monty doesn't find the end zone, Downs outscores him. All right, we got a minute. Let's just go ahead and do it since we don't have to. So we don't have to push at the back half of the show. Brant, who you got finding the end zone this week?
My touchdown scores. Let me slide this out of the way. I got Joe Mixon, Jalen Hurts, Kyron Williams, and welcome back from the IR, CMC, all to find the end zone this week.
Was CMC's still negative on the money line? I imagine it had to have been.
I'm sure it is. I haven't quite put it in quite yet, but I'm sure it still is.
That's definitely a good one. I like that. I'm coming at you, Brant, with I'll save my favorite one for last. I've got Drake London to find the end zone. Definitely seems to be the guy down in the goal line for the Atlanta Falcons. Zach Robinson's getting super creative with him, running at some really nice routes down around the end zone. So I think Drake London finds the end zone. I've got James Conner to find it against the New York Jets. I think the Cardinals mollywhopped the Jets this week. And then I've got the one and only healthy pass catcher in Tampa Bay to catch one, even though they are going against the 49ers, that we don't start tight ends. Cade Otton's a start this week. I think he does find the end zone based on hyper targets. And then my favorite one, Brant, because you know what they do against the Chicago Bears, running backs go off. I've got Ramondre Stevenson to find the end zone because when you're averaging 5 yards a carry, it's going to be really hard to keep him out.
Yep.
Especially when you get down there. He's a little bulldozer. So I like Ramondre Stevenson to go ahead and find pay dirt.
Absolutely, absolutely. I like those. Let's see.
I got a question, Brant. So Lions, Texans, Sunday Night Football. The line's at 49.5 points. You've got the Lions favored by 3.5. My question to you is this. Is this contest a must win for the Houston Texans? Or if the Texans lose this one, is there still like they're 6-3, so a loss here puts them at 6-4. They've had some bad losses this week. If they lose this week, does it worry you at all?
It's going to worry me on how the offense looks, just because Nico's been banged up and everything else, so it would worry me a little bit there. But I don't think it's a must win, just because the division doesn't scare me as much. I mean, they have Indy, Tennessee, and Jacksonville all not doing the greatest this year. So that's not what worries me. I still think they're an up-and-coming team. They're very young. So I wouldn't be too worried, and I don't think I'd put a must-win on it. Now, I think this is a chance for Detroit to really put that stamp and their foot on everyone's throat and say, hey, we're the best team in the NFL.
Okay. How about the Chicago Bears? Just because I like to pick on them. 4-4 playing the 2-7 Patriots. If they lose this game, is their season over?
I think their season was already over. That division is too powerful right now. When you go from first to last in your bye week, it just shows how much flex is in that division. But yeah, I think you really got to start considering, hey, is it our head coaching? Is it the quarterback? Is it the play calling? You've got to start considering what's going on in Chicago, especially if you drop the game to New England. New England would then go over their win total if they were to win tonight.
Yeah, definitely they would. All right, Brent, here you go.
Jennifer asked, J-Mo, Jamarcus Robinson, or DJ Moore? We got to sit one. I'm sitting J-Mo. Boomer bust play. I'm not even sure if Detroit wants him on the roster anymore with all the suspensions and everything else that he's had to go through. You could see this guy getting benched and not even playing. So I think I'm going to sit J-Mo.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Sit J-Mo. It stinks, right? Because he could go off for 35 points tonight if he has 3 catches. So it's tough, but yeah, he's been a disappointment since he entered the league. And Detroit don't need him at all. They've proven that. So
right.
Yeah, he doesn't have to be a part of their game plan, whereas I think DJ Moore and DeMarcus Robinson both will be. So yeah, Jennifer, I leave J-Mo out. Dickie asks, should I play Debo and Kittle together, Brant, against the Buccaneers?
Yeah, I think I do. I think that's one of the highest scoring games of the week. I think I'd be okay with that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't see a reason to leave those two on the bench either. If I've got them both, they're both putting up numbers. Yeah, you play them both pretty comfortably. And then just to have another question about the 49ers defense, Chris Samuels asks, Baker or Purdy, Brant?
I think I go with Baker here just because I do think he'll be playing from behind and have to throw a little bit more. So I think I go with Baker.
Okay. Baker has been Mr. Consistency, so I do think I agree with your take on that one. They will play from behind. He's going to have to play more hero ball, which could equate to some interceptions, but I think it also equates to some big plays for the Buccaneers. Give me Baker. All right, Brant, let's go ahead and get into these underdog plays of the week. It's about that time of the week for us to do this. So let's hit this and hit it hard. Here we go. All right, Brent, walk me through your underdog plays this week.
So last week I went with 2 lowers, and both my lowers hit. I went 4 out of 5. I thought I had a pretty good week. So I'm going to add a few lowers in again this week. But first off, I'm going to go with one maybe neither one of us has done. I don't remember. I'm going to go with Darnell Mooney, his longest reception higher than 20.5 yards. He burned the Saints for 56 and 36 earlier in the year, and he's been over this in 6 out of 9 games this year. I believe he'll have a 21-yard reception or above this week. Let's go with the next one. I got Alvin Kamara to go higher than 39.5 receiving yards. No Olave, no Shaheed, no everybody. So somebody's got to catch that ball. No Miller, even though I talked about him on the cast this week. No Miller. I think Kamara goes over 39.5 receiving yards pretty easily. Next one, I got Tajay Spears to go higher than 1.5 receptions. He's hit that 4 out of 4 games this year that he wasn't injured in. So that's a pretty safe one to me. Excuse me. Now, I got Javonte Williams lower than 37.5 rushing yards. Now, he plays the Kansas City Chiefs. We talked about them being the number 1 ranked defense against the run. There's only been 2 running backs to go over that line against them. Derrick Henry's one of them. Jordan Mason's the other. So both have great offensive lines and great running backs. Now, the next one is I got Brock Purdy to go lower than 31.5 pass attempts. CMC's back. They're a 7-point favorite. I expect them to get out, jump to an early lead, and just run the ball the rest of the game. So Purdy lower than 31.5 pass attempts.
I like those, Brant. Now, I will say on my end of it, it's full gas, no break over here. We've got no lowers on our end. I don't know what it is about lowers. They disgust me. I can't get myself to do it. And it's probably a lot of times there's some free money sitting in it. So I need to put the pride aside and start looking at some of those lowers, but I cannot get myself to do it.
Hard to cheer for lowers.
It is hard to cheer for lowers because that means some bad fantasy numbers. So I'm going to go with my easiest to my hardest, I think. I'm starting off with Bijan Robinson to have over 3.5 receptions. Kirk Cousins looks for him anytime the play breaks down. I think he had like 7 receptions in the first half last week, Brant. So Bijan Robinson over 3.5 receptions feels like a slam dunk to me. My second one that I feel like is a slam dunk, Brant. Who's the starting running back against the Chicago Bears this week?
Ramondre Stevenson.
Ramondre Stevenson's going to have higher than 56.5 rushing yards this week. Again, this just feels like one of those weeks that it's like if he gets the ball 10 times, he's going to be over this. It's going to be a good week for him. I've got Justin Herbert higher than 222.5 passing yards. Listen, they're playing against the Chargers. The Titans. Chargers are playing against the Titans. This feels like a game where Herbert's going to put his stamp on this. They're going to go out and they're going to win this game. And they do it with a lot of passing yards. Now, I think there will be a lot of rushing touchdowns, not so much rushing passing touchdowns, but I think he gets the yards. And then I've got Kyler Murray to go higher than 238.5 total yards. It's been a roller coaster with Kyler Murray the last couple of weeks. Not been very good, but this week with his little legs and his passing arm, he does get over the 238.5 total yards. And then the one that I just feel my gut tells me to take this one, Brant, because I think they're going to try to keep this game close. I've got Jonathan Taylor higher than 103.5 total yards against the Buffalo Bills.
Okay, I have someone ringing my doorbell. Give me just a second.
Yep. All right, so while Brant is checking to see who's visiting him at his house, let's go back and touch in on this Sunday morning contest with the Panthers and the Giants. The Giants are in the red zone currently, thanks to Tyrone Tracy getting another carry, getting himself a 19-yard carry going down into the red zone. So to be interesting, Wan'Dale Robinson by far having the best game out of any pass catchers on the New York Giants side of the ball. 4 targets, 3 receptions, 23 yards. Jalen Hyatt getting in there, getting a reception as well, for 19 yards. On the other side of the ball, you've got Bryce Young, 9 for 13 for 84 yards and a touchdown. Chuba Hubbard at 2-minute, getting ready to hit the 2-minute warning. He's already got 82 yards rushing. Jalen Coker, 3 for 41. Xavier Legette, 2 for 29. Jontavion Sanders finding the end zone, who definitely has been that guy for Bryce Young to this part of the season. So that's definitely, an interesting contest. I'm not sure any of us would have had the score being 10-7, potentially 10-7 going into half. That is, if the Giants can go ahead and poke the ball into the end zone here. So we will wait and see. On that one. So again, guys, it is week 10. A lot of us are getting to that point in the season where we're no longer trying to figure out what we are in the season. We're either a contender or we're not. And you see a lot of fire sales and flash sales happening right now. So if you guys have any questions about who you should be trading for, who you should be trading away, getting yourselves into that mindset, don't hesitate to reach out to the Fatboyz. We do our weekly show on Wednesday nights. So if you have any questions there, don't hesitate to come jump on and we'll get you right on that. So it looks like we do have another comment here. Hopefully Brant gets back at some point to contribute to this question, but let's see. Jennifer says, guillotine best ball league. I have Spears, but could drop him for Keenan or Douglas. Yeah, I think I definitely drop Tajay Spears for Keenan Allen at this point. Jennifer, I think there's a good chance that Keenan Allen finds the end zone pretty much every week. Whereas Tajay Spears, I'm not a big fan of that Tennessee Titans backfield regardless. So I think I'd go Keenan Allen here. So there's that one. All right, let's see. All right. So again, if you guys don't get your questions answered with us on air, don't hesitate to jump over and drop those questions on the Facebook page. There will be live start sit questions being answered all day long on the Fantasy Holics Facebook page. So if you don't get it done in time with us here, please don't hesitate to go jump on and go drop them over here. I'm going to go for a few more minutes without Brant. If he doesn't come back before 10 o'clock, we may go ahead and cut this a little early. Let's see. We've got another Facebook question coming at us here. Let's see if I can quickly move over and get this pulled up on my phone to see who's actually asking us this question. We've got Dickie coming back at us again. He says, Devonta Smith or Hunter Henry at the flex. It's Devonta Smith. In a divisional matchup against the Cowboys, there's no love lost here. They're going to light the scoreboard up. I fully expect to see a ton of Devonta Smith this week. I expect to see a ton of A.J. Brown, a ton of Saquon Barkley. This is one that I think is a huge game for the Philadelphia Eagles as well. So, definitely roll out Devonta Smith in this one. Brant, I'm going to give you a chance to answer this question. And there was another one from Jennifer. I'll let you get your 2 cents on. So this is Dickie asking Devonta Smith or Hunter Henry at the flex.
I think you roll out Devonta Smith. Philly's got Dallas. That's going to be a high-scoring game. It's in division. Neither one has a great defense, so I think I go with Devonta Smith.
All right. And then here was Jennifer's question. She asked, Guillotine Best Ball League, she has Tajay Spears, but she could drop him for Keenan Allen or Demario Douglas.
I think I drop him for Pop Douglas. Pollard looked very serviceable when Spears was out, so I think that's going to be more of a 50-50 split. And Douglas has been the number one target there for Drake May as that offense starts rolling.
Okay. All right. Brant, let's talk real quick about what's on the menu for this week.
So what's on the menu at about 8:15? I had to throw this deer roast in. We're going to have some deer roast, Italian beef, Italian venison, I guess, tonight. Seasoned it up. I got her in the crock pot going. Super, super excited for that. And prior to that, I'm sure I got a few things to run around and do, so I'm going to miss a little bit of the noon games. I got to go pick up some groceries and such. So we'll either grab some nuggies on the way back, or I'll throw some pizza rolls in the air fryer when I get home. Just a little pregame prior to the venison roast.
Okay. We're actually also having roast at our household tonight. Ours is the beef variety. But we're going to do a little roast, a little mashed potatoes, a little homemade mac and cheese, and some Cheddar Bay biscuits. So we're just going to smash a big dinner tonight. And so to save excitement for that, I guess, if you will, we're just going to do some lazy buffalo chicken dip, some French onion dip, some chip dip kind of stuff for lunch. Just kind of keep it casual. Walk by and throw a chip in some container of dip as you move through the week here. But I'm so focused on my Falcons game, I don't eat during that anyway. So no loss there for me for just having dip this week. Next week's a different story. I'm going to be smashing some food during football next week. I will be live, or not live, but I will be watching the Denver Broncos versus Atlanta Falcons live in Denver. I will try to poke on and maybe say hello and what's up to everybody as that happens. I think I don't want to spill anything, so I think there's going to be a live start sit still next week. We'll see.
Even if I got to roll it by myself, we'll get her done.
Which is possible. Brant might have to roll it by himself because I will not be live. I'm going to be. I think when this is going on, I'll be eating brunch in Denver. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. He's waiting to hear back on if he'll have a co-host or if he'll be by himself. But we will see how that plays out. Yeah, again, I'm sorry for some of the technical difficulties that have arisen with the Facebook stuff this weekend. I've already got the IT department on standby. The man behind the scenes that does all the stuff, the technical stuff with our StreamYard, was boarding an airplane to travel this morning. He said as soon as he touches his feet to dirt this afternoon, he's going to get on and fix it. So Brant will have the Facebook comments working for next week, thankfully. So again, thanks for bearing with us through that, guys. I'm one of those kind of guys that if I can't take it out and blow on it, and that doesn't fix the issue, I don't know what the hell's going on. I see you looking sideways at what I just said. Piss off, Brant. But anyway, that's about the extent of my IT knowledge. I can restart something, unplug it, plug it back in. That's about it. So thankfully there's smarter people behind the scenes than just fat faces to hopefully get that fixed next week. So again, sorry for that this week, guys. I know it's not nearly as fun getting your question answered when your name doesn't come up all sparkly and such on the screen. So apologize for that, but hey, that's a good reason to follow us on YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. I am not IT savvy or StreamYard savvy. I tried to do my solo this week and ended up having to push it back a whole day just because I had no idea what I was doing. So and Finley had to fix that. So if he can't go further than that, then yeah, we're in trouble. Hopefully we can get her figured out. I'm sure he will.
Yep. All right, guys. I think we're gonna go ahead and tie a bow on this a few minutes early. Like I said, if you didn't get questions in here, don't hesitate to go jump on the comments or the Facebook page post. Excuse me. There will be comments and they will be answering it, and the guys typically identify themselves, so if they give you bad advice and you roll it out, you know who to be mad at afterwards. But I hope everybody has a good week 10. I hope everybody scores lots and lots and lots of fantasy points. If you're like me and you're playing from behind because you faced a Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase stack, hopefully your entire lineup goes off this week and we can somehow surpass that. So like I said, I wish everybody luck.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish you luck. I, too, had to match that in one of my big leagues. But as always, stay hungry.
Stay fat, my friends.